Hello and welcome to the D3 podcast. This is your host, Matt, joined as always by Sam, Kevin, and John. How's it going, guys?
Pretty good.
Down 2020. Let's get it.
Yeah, talk about the craziness of 2020. You know, we had all this bad shit going on, and now the NBA is starting back up, and now we're kind of in a coma from all of the wild shit that's been going on in the past week.
I think I've permanently fucked up my eyes from the amount of staring at my phone I've done refreshing Twitter this week.
I've never been on Twitter as long as I have this entire week.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. It's been a wild ride, but we're gonna break this down as best as we can for everybody. So why don't we start at the top? We'll finish off with essentially the draft, because that's where we left off last episode, just giving our opinions with our mock draft and whatnot. Sam, why don't you hit us with the winners and losers of this?
Well, this draft, as everyone knows, it was pretty lackluster in terms of pure regular, ready to go superstar talent, especially comparing it to the last year. When you have Zion, you have a Ja, you have RJ, you have faces to recognize. And here, we were just talking, Matt. You didn't even know who number one win. Let's just be real, right? You don't remember?
It's so true.
Love you, but you're not welcome here. I'm just gonna be real right now. But,
that's fine. That's fine.
Obviously, Anthony Edwards did go number one. A lot of people say it wasn't that shocking. In my opinion, I think it was more shocking that the Timberwolves didn't trade the pick. That was a big mistake on their end, in my opinion, because basically it has no value, and you need to win relatively now in terms of keeping Cat happy. Granted, Cat's opinions are weird. He goes up and down every time with this Timberwolves team. Off season comes, he's like, I want out, I don't want this, and then they trade for someone that he loves. They got D'Lo, and they're like, hey, okay, I'm good for the next 6 months. And
it doesn't take much. It does not take much to keep him happy.
But Kevin, who do you think was the biggest winner, in my opinion, in this draft?
In Sam's opinion, yeah.
I was going to say, it depends on who you ask. Honestly, you guys are going to give me shit for this, but I honestly think Golden State getting Wiseman was a great choice. I think they could have traded away the pick, and I think a lot of people thought they were going to trade it away. But I think Wiseman adds a big need for them and a big center. I really, really like that for them. I think a lot of people, we were talking about this before, a lot of people, it was hard to fuck things up with this draft because there was just a bunch of mid-level talent. So if you picked anyone in there, you would get someone who's okay. So it's really hard to pick someone that's really bad or pick someone that's really bad for you. But yeah, I think Golden State, Wiseman, I like that a lot. I think I picked them in the mock draft even.
Yeah. I think that was one of the few that we nailed.
Yeah, right.
And I think, let's be real. I think the reason it wasn't traded because right before the draft, we did hear the news about Klay Thompson. We talked about it so much. He did tear his Achilles, and the worst part, I don't know if it's the worst, but I think it's worse in general, but it was on his other leg. So, just recovering from that ACL, having a burden on both sides now, it's going to be a long journey. I mean, we did see it with Kevin Durant, waiting out another year. But I couldn't imagine waiting out 2 years now. I mean, I guess a similar thing was like John Wall, right? I mean, we forgot John Wall existed until basically. And it's a real shame because I don't think anyone in the NBA or ever hates Klay Thompson. I don't know if you guys see Instagram, but his dogs, it's great. It's just a great time. I feel like Klay would just be one of those hype man. I think it'd be a Kevin hype man personally, in my opinion. I feel like he's a guy that once enjoys a Coors Light with Kevin at the bar. I'd be like, hey, I got you.
I really
Coors Light. That's interesting.
But I don't know if you guys remember the interview where he just pulls out a bottle of Coors Light mid-interview and he starts drinking it.
Nah,
that's amazing.
I think my all-time favorite Klay moment was when he signed the toaster.
Toaster Klay was next gen. All right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But my God.
I think the big thing we're gonna miss with Klay is third quarter Klay Thompson because let's be real. Even when Kevin Durant got injured, there was still I think we still kind of favored the Warriors in my opinion, just because Klay Thompson really turned on to a next level. Tears his ACL, walks back out, drains 2 free throws, and then tells Coach Kerr, "Don't worry, I'll be back in 30 seconds." And then we never saw. And I was like, "God, worst feeling." But
he was a dog. He's a dog.
He was. But I totally agree, Kevin. I think James Wiseman was a solid pick for the Warriors, especially in terms of that. I think to learn from Draymond Green, whatever's left of Draymond Green, in my opinion, because he had a horrible last year, even though he got now. Hopefully Steph Curry comes back. Everyone's aging now, and they got to start grooming the next generation to, be ready for, whatever's up in the next few years. Because, I mean, to be honest, I don't know how much, prime time we got with Steph. And we see with Draymond, he's not the same anymore. We're not sure what Klay's going to be like. It's going to be a whole new, chapter for these guys. But John, what do you think was a big steal for this NBA draft?
Yeah, I think there were a few picks, and I think personally the biggest steal of all has to be Denny Avdija. I think that's easily, the biggest deal of all. Hurts you deeply, Sam, I know. But, that's huge. He went to the Wizards, correct? Yeah. And can't believe he fell that far.
Yeah.
He was projected to get picked at some point, even by Golden State, some projections earlier on in the process. And so it's a really great pick for the Wizards, who are about to lose potentially the husk of John Wall if they can find someone to take on that salary. Because he asked out after they tried to trade him for Russell Westbrook. John Wall, I wrote this down, but John Wall sat on a max contract for 2 years with an injury. And then as soon as he could play, he's like, "Get me out of here."
Imagine being the Wizards. Imagine being the Wizards and hearing that.
It's brutal. But, it is. Denny's a great pickup for them. He's a really versatile forward. He's got great size. He's going to be able to fill out more in the NBA. His shot's definitely a question at this time, but otherwise he's a really versatile offensive player who can do a lot for you as a secondary ball handler. And he's a good team defender. I think they got definitely the steal of the draft at that point. But, there were, as we're going to talk about a little bit, I think overall, Kevin said it earlier, there's not a lot of teams that totally blew it. So, there's going to be some more good examples here of teams that I think got good fits.
No, exactly. And I think we have to add that the Wizards did sign my boy Bertans, which was a solid pick.
He got a bag. He got
a bag, and I don't think the Wizards can afford that bag right now. And you got Beal, Wall, and Bertans now. There's not to be a big three, but hey, you never know. Denny's going to come his way up. I told you guys this was the guy. This is the guy that's going to change it all. And my Spurs didn't do it. Very upset. Still sad. But I may have to cop a Wizards jersey now. You might have to change sides. We're changing sides now at this point. Matt, who did you think was a great steal in this draft?
I really wish that I could say the Bulls, but I can't. So that's very, very unfortunate for me. I guess, in my opinion, I feel like it's an obvious one, but I'll just say LaMelo going to Charlotte. I don't think the team has gotten significantly better. I don't even think that they've gotten better in general. But with LaMelo on your team, you at least get more viewers to watch, and you can get a little bit more money that way and whatnot. Make the team a little bit more interesting. Maybe Russell Westbrook ends up going there. Who knows? I don't think we really even know what that whole situation is looking like right now. But you at least make the team look a little bit better. And I do think LaMelo is going to be good for Charlotte. I think he's going to be at least a decent player moving forward. So perhaps to Charlotte. Congratulations, Michael Jordan. This is probably maybe the little thing that you've done in your GM career. So way to go not messing it up.
Yeah, well, they had to save their blowing it juice for fucking 2 days later.
Yeah, right. Michael, I think MJ lost in the game of quarters, or that one game. I think he lost, and that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be real. It's really not hard to mess up in this draft. It was just make sure LaMelo falls to you at this point.
Yeah.
Again, I think the Timberwolves made a huge mistake at not drafting LaMelo Ball, just in terms of a trade asset at that point, because I think Charlotte would have paid something. It would have been good, but it would have been paid something right there, because the thing that Charlotte was missing was identity. They haven't had that.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, to be honest, I don't even think Kemba was an identity. I know we associate with him, but like when I say Kemba Walker, I wouldn't just think of a team associated with him. I'd be like, it's just Kemba Walker. I think of him as UConn, the UConn guy at that
Yeah.
point.
I mean, I think of him as the Celtics, but hey, that's just me.
Hey, let me know when you get to the finals again, okay? Anyways, LaMelo Ball was, I think, a key piece minus all the off-season things, which we'll get into later, that Charlotte made. And I think it's really interesting hearing from Michael Jordan wanting him. Maybe it's an ego thing that's saying that, like, I'm your pappy now. Let's be real. I'm your daddy at this point now.
Oh, well.
But no, I agree. I think LaMelo's a good fit. I mean, I think he rocks the colors perfectly too. Teal and purple, that suits him pretty well.
Yeah,
so.
People are finally going to get to see their pretty jerseys now that they'll actually have some national TV games.
Jesus Christ.
But let's jump to those Bulls real quick with Patrick Williams. John, how did you feel about that pick?
Look, I saw a lot of folks were pretty surprised by it online. I was not as surprised just because I'd been kind of like following that situation a little bit religiously. So like I knew going into the draft that they really wanted Patrick Williams. And I wasn't entirely sure about it, but then I saw the draft video of him talking about how much he loved working for his mom's flower shop. And that's when I knew, like, this is our guy. But really he seems like one of the things that I really like about him is that he does seem like he has a really good head on his shoulders. He's going to be hopefully positionally pretty versatile. I saw there's some concerns that he might end up filling out to be more of a 4 than he would a 3, which would be a little bit frustrating with how the Bulls are built right now. But I think that, like, just like give it his measurements and like some of the clips I've seen, like, I think defensively he'll be able to guard 3 positions at least. And I think, like, offensively he has so much room to grow. It's so hard to project those Florida State guys because, as you will experience with your Spurs, like, it's just hard to project those Florida State guys because they don't play in a system that really, like, lets stars shine. It's kind of like Kentucky in that way, where it's just like, you don't get to see everything that these players can do because they are playing within a pretty strict system. I think that, like, I have a feeling people are going to be pretty pleasantly surprised with Patrick Williams, but people also have to keep in mind that he's one of the youngest people in this draft. It's going to take a little bit of time for him to put it all together. But I don't know. If you're the Bulls, I don't know why you're in a huge hurry.
Yeah.
We're going nowhere fast. I think just, like, buckle up and, like, be along for the ride. I think he's going to be a pretty solid pickup for them. And I think he's going to really beautify that arena with some lovely flower catering from his mother.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll all enjoy that.
Keep it in the family. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm pretty okay with it, in my opinion. I like John said, I don't think it could have gotten worse. I mean, there are definitely moves that they could have made to prove that they haven't changed in the slightest. But with the new management, with the new coaching, I have more faith that Patrick Williams will turn out better than, let's just say, Kobe White with last year. Because you have people who are actually going to hopefully make you a better player than last year, where you had trash coaching and just overall ass of an organization.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's also, like, kind of worth noting, just, like, he's going to be wearing Luol Deng's number. That's beautiful.
Love it.
If he can be, drafting Luol Deng at 4 would be a bit of a bummer, but I think hopefully there's a little more potential there. As much as I did love Lou in some of those years, and Tibbs really ground him into the fucking dirt. But, like, yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's interesting to see. I'm glad we didn't trade Wendell Carter.
Thank God. Oh my God.
I hope we suck enough to get a top 10 pick next year.
No, I agree. I think the only thing with Patrick Williams is that I'm not sure if this is the right system for him just yet. I could be completely wrong. I hope I'm wrong,
Yeah.
As much as I like you guys being pain and just watching me just be so successful, with my Spurs. Even though now I'm with
How's
you
that
guys.
looking right now, Sam?
Yeah.
Hey, yo, you guys are in the East and you still can't get to the playoffs. Let's talk there. Look, speaking of my Spurs, I know I said in the previous pod, don't draft a guard. They drafted guards, right? Technically, Devin Vassell, 6'6". I think he can play more of a small forward.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I want our Spurs to return to is defense, because that's what we're built on. You guys play 2K. When you see Coach Popovich, he has defensive badges. All right, that's what he's got. That's expertise. All right, he's not changing from that at that point. We got rid of the small size with Bryn Forbes. We didn't want him. All right, he's a buck now. All right, but along with that, Trey Jones, solid pick. Surprisingly, no Duke boys win the first round. I think it's like the first time in
Whoa.
Yeah, it's nuts. I think Cassius Stanley was the first one at
That's
41 or
crazy.
something.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. Coach K washed up. Let's be real now at this point.
Yeah.
But Spurs, they're going to be making plays, all right? I'm telling you, DeMar DeRozan is going to get dumped somewhere. I'm hearing possibly Golden State, if they're that desperate for the rest of the window. I'll take Wiggins, because he'll just be trade asset after trade asset at that point. So dumping all as well, I'm all for it. We're here for a bright future, all right? We got a good coach, all right? We got a good coach, old coach, still good. But let's talk about some of these trades, though. Some big moves. I think a big one, just in terms of overall draft, I think the Mavs did a great job, right? I think we have to agree. Josh Green, Tyrell Terry. I'm telling you, Tyrell Terry is going to. He's a really small. It's not a good comparison, but in terms of their team, it's Tim Hardaway Jr.'s position. That's what we're playing at this point. Super small, and I don't think you need him to be, a superstar talent at this point. Not a superstar, but really any talent at this point. You need someone to be in the corner, able to play defense, and able to nail down the shot when Luka passes it to you. Josh Green, along with a great fit, and a bigger move, a Josh Richardson trade, I believe with OKC, if that's correct.
With Philly, it might have been. No, I don't think it was a three-way trade. I think it was just with Philly.
Just with Philly.
It's hard to keep track at this point, honestly.
No, yeah, okay, because Horford went to OKC, but I don't think that was part of the Josh Richardson trade.
Gotcha.
A lot of moving parts.
a lot of moving parts. OKC basically crooks at this point. We love it. But Mavs able to add Josh Richardson, who was in a horrendous offensive scheme, in Philly. I think it's actually going to be a good fit. At that point in Philly, they didn't really have an identity in terms of who's going to be running the ball the whole time. Ben Simmons switches from point to power forward. He can't really do that with that kind of offense at this point. And Josh Richardson coming from Miami, he became very ball dominant. Probably their second or third best player at that team at that point. I think this is a better fit, right? Now he doesn't have to be focused on, play creation. For him, it's off-ball movement, slashing, getting the dunks. That's what they need at this point. Mavs fan John, what are we feeling about the moves made here, dumping Seth Curry to Philly?
Yeah, I think that the Mavs have I think they've done a really, really good job this offseason without jeopardizing next offseason, basically. I think they've really done a lot of smart stuff. Josh Green, who I believe I picked to go there, is a very good pickup for them because he's another 3-and-D wing, which is something that they desperately needed.
Yeah, seriously.
In the playoffs. They desperately needed that. Tyrell Terry, someone who, if you look at people were kind of mixed on, but if you're a ringer person, Kevin O'Connor had him in his I think top 12 by the end of the draft cycle. He's going to be a good player. He's going to be at the least a good role player who will be able to probably grow into a Seth Curry kind of role at least, because he did bulk up a bit, he grew a bit, and he's just got a really good stroke. And I think there's a lot of potential there. Josh Richardson, huge add, because he was actually pretty solid in Miami that year before he got traded. But now he's going to be in a great role again where he can provide really good wing defense next to Luka, and he'll be able to provide a fair amount of scoring. I think that the Mavs have put themselves, I think they re-signed Willie Cauley-Stein too. Basically, they've put themselves in a position to be really good this year, be in the playoffs, have a position to be a threat there, but still giving themselves the flexibility to really swing for the fences next summer when it gets very interesting.
Yeah, no, this is going to be rough for my division because, when you have Noah,
Yes.
Dallas, I don't know what's happening in Houston, but I can still see them being kind of relevant, with Christian Wood coming over there.
Mhm.
Memphis with Ja, the Spurs, it's going to be a tough ride for them. But Kevin, I think the funny thing here in this Mavs discussion is that we haven't mentioned Kristaps Porzingis at all.
Yeah.
You mentioned that Josh Richardson is basically the second piece at this point, but do you think Kristaps Porzingis has a long-term future with this team, or do you think they're going to start looking midway through the season to make some big moves in case it doesn't go to plan at the moment?
I I hope he does have a long-term place on this team. I think he fits really well with Luka, and I think him and Luka at the front of this team with this deep team that's taking shape in this Mavs team. Now they have we just named off 4 or 5 or 6 people that they just got that make this team a lot deeper than they were before. Before you kind of had to put everything on KP and Luka, and I think that wasn't good for him. KP specifically, I think Luka has no problem handling that, as we saw in the playoffs. He can just put the team on his back, score a 30-point triple-double, and walk away. But KP isn't like that. I think being a more almost supportive role for KP is going to be really good for him, and he's going to add way more value in that sense rather than looking at him as the star, the guy that has to put up all of these points along with Luka. I think having that team more fleshed out across the board is a really good move, and I hope KP stays with them because I think he'll even get better with this team. I think if he stays there. I don't know where else he would fit perfectly.
No, I agree, and I think KP's role has definitely changed, since his time with the Knicks. He was off, with injury for about a year and a half. Then, player empowerment, gets his way out, still on a rookie contract, which is nuts. In my opinion, you don't do that as a rookie, but he wanted out, and the Knicks basically messed it up and got nothing out of that. But I think KP, which I think he's also understanding, is that his role has completely changed. I think he actually has to focus being a role player because the way he's been playing with this Mavs team is he's not playing the post anymore as he was in the Knicks. He's playing more of the outside. Defensive presence is a little bit there. I think it's still lacking in my opinion, but understandable. First year back, can only ask for so much at that point. And they still played very well. I mean, we saw him, playing against that Clippers roster. They really did shake him up at that point. And he wasn't even there. KP wasn't even playing at that point. So this roster will be very fun and interesting to see. I think the league overall, this league is just completely blown my mind about how great this has been. At least in my opinion, I think the past couple of years, I was just we're inching closer to the end of a LeBron who's going to be taking that. But now you see 12, 15 players all reaching out for that crown now. And I think that's awesome. That's what we wanted now. No one expected the whole Giannis thing to blow up this quickly. I mean, this guy went from smoothies to smoothies, that kind of stuff. He couldn't even say things right at that point, but this guy's back-to-back MVP. Let's keep him in Milwaukee at this point. But speaking of Philly here, Kevin, your prediction, Daryl Morey made some major plays, in my opinion. Big shakeup. This is a classic Daryl Morey thing. He let the league know that he wasn't gone. He just went to the other side of the coast at this point. What do you think of the moves that he made from the draft, the trades, the movement he's been doing? What do you think how good did he do?
I don't know. I'm not sure if it's the right moves or not yet. I want to have faith in him. Because I like Morey a lot. I think what he's done is great. I'm interested, especially the Dwight Howard pickup. I think was the Dwight Howard Danny Green pickup was interesting from the Lakers. I think they'll actually add a lot of value to this 76ers team, which is kind of weird to say because I think they're both okay players. But I think they kind of fit on this, what Morey wants the 76ers to be. And I think the rest of the moves that he's making a team the way he wants it to make rather than this Sixers team that really didn't have an identity before this. With just, we had Embiid and Simmons always kind of having a weird power dynamic, I guess you could say. And now I think Morey's kind of being like, okay, let's say screw that. Let's figure out what we actually want our team to be. And I think he's slowly starting to get that with all these moves he's making with all those with the picks they got. And I think the Danny Green, Dwight Howard pickup was good. I like Seth Curry is not anywhere close to where Steph Curry's at, but I think he's a very valuable player to have. I like that pickup as well. I think they're making a lot of almost like the Dallas trades where they're getting a lot of undervalued people and trying to just flush out their entire roster. And I like that.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what Seth Curry's career 3-point shooting percentage is?
I think it's like 45 or something like that. I thought
44%.
Yeah.
Damn.
Insane.
Yeah.
I think it's higher than Steph.
It is. I mean, obviously on lower volume, but like, yeah.
Kevin just said here that Seth Curry's better than Steph. That's what he's basically saying.
Yes. Yeah. For the record.
Clickbait title right there. Clickbait title.
I mean, let's not forget that this is a big upgrade for the Mavs just in terms of size. You can't have Seth Curry guarding Kawhi Leonard again. That was a big mistake. And it wasn't just once. It's like they planned for this, and that's a huge mistake. You cannot do that. But from Philly's standpoint, they were able to dump so much. They had so much cap space from that. Just dumping the Al Horford contract was perfect.
Thing I think for me that was awesome.
And the Richardson contract, and
kidding,
they drafted Tyrese Maxey, which is a very cool addition for them to finally have like another. I mean, he's just like not necessarily like a big playmaking point guard, but another ball handler at least, which is huge for them. And like, I think they're going to be. This is the most interesting they've been without being like a weird, fucked up like we're playing 5 giants kind of roster. Like this is a roster that actually kind of makes sense now. And I think I think the Dwight thing is, Kevin, you hit on this, but I think that's actually like kind of huge because Joel Embiid has had some of like his like on-off numbers in the playoffs are like always really, really like drastic. The difference between him being in the game and out. And it's just like, cause they've had no one who can like cover for him basically. Coming off the bench when he needs to rest after he's like digesting his 4 hamburgers like before the game and like so I think the Dwight thing is like really big for them, especially like because Horford even couldn't really like fill in that role as well. He just wasn't healthy enough either. I think like you said, Kevin, I think this is a very good offseason for them.
Definitely agree there. And before we get into our way too soon title odds here, let's jump into free agency at this point. All right, we're there with Dwight Howard, but that's the tail end of all this. I think the big one was the Drew Holiday move, getting from NOLA. All right, for a ridiculous trade in my opinion. They did dump the Eric Bledsoe contract. Sure, you had to do that, but you had to throw in about 3 first-round picks as well. And one of the worst parts was that it was a 2027 first-round pick. I think it's a crime. It's a crime that you shouldn't be able to trade that far out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because that's a trade that, like, the next GM is going to have to deal with. Like that.
Oh, my God. It was horrendous. That was a huge mistake, the biggest blunder ever. Overall, fit-wise, do we think Drew Holiday is an upgrade for this team, pending our later discussion of what else happened? We'll start with you. We start with you, Matt. Matt, you seem a little concerned over there.
Drew Holiday, I'm interested to see how well he plays, just because it kind of seems like he's not a bad, like he wasn't a worse player when he was on New Orleans, obviously. But he didn't have the right pieces around him to make him the best that he could be. So him coming to a new team, I'll wait and see how that turns out. That's probably the best I can say, is that I'll wait and see how it works. I really do like Drew Holiday. He's a fantastic defensive player. It's just like, is it kind of? I feel like for him, he needs to go on a win now team. So we'll wait and see, and hopefully that goes well for him.
So no love for him. All right, I got you.
No, not really.
I think this is I think this is not enough, but I think it's for what it is. It's a good fit. I think that like you're gonna have a really difficult time scoring on this team. Drew's gonna give you 18 to 21 points a game. He's a fairly good he's like a good like lead ball handler, which is something they need. Someone that you can trust in the playoffs. He absolutely lest we forget the one time that New Orleans was in the playoffs with AD, and he absolutely locked down Dame and CJ, made them look like little kids. So I think this is good. I don't know if it's enough for what they gave up, but I like it. And you know what? Every time I think about the Bucks, every single time I think about the Bucks, I forget that Chris Middleton is on that team.
I know, right? My God.
And that's just and the problem is they have two, Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday are both very similar to me in that they're really, really good players who should probably both be the third option on a really, really great team.
Yes.
But hopefully they can add up to something more useful in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I think Drew Holiday makes Milwaukee a better team, but like John said, I seriously don't think it's enough.
It's at least better because Eric Bledsoe is an absolute negative in the playoffs.
Yes, 100%.
Absolute negative,
absolute
useless garbage. He is starting Eric Bledsoe in the playoffs is giving fucking your whole team 40-pound body weights to wear across the board. It just fucks everything up. It makes you useless. Thank God for them that they're off him, but man, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be real. The biggest mistake was just not signing Malcolm Brogdon to that deal because that's what the piece that you needed. That was the basic piece you wanted. The man was Rookie of the Year. All right, probably shouldn't have won Rookie of the Year, but he was Rookie of the Year at that point.
Yeah.
All right, Kevin,
and he was a 50, 40, 90 guy.
yeah, exactly at that point. But Kevin, for someone that's lived in Milwaukee, 5 years. Alongside me,
Sam's trying to. Yeah, I was gonna say Sam's trying to push that down.
Hey,
I didn't live in Milwaukee. It's just Kevin.
We had the up and downs, while we were living there. We saw the rise of Giannis. I went to every Christmas game, or close to Christmas game, whenever the Spurs came to Milwaukee, and it was nuts because from 2003 to 2013 to 2015, half the arena was Spurs fans. Which is mind blowing. I was in a section of just Spurs fans, and we were louder than them. They basically paid fans to be louder in the section. That was a thing. But obviously, with Giannis evolving, we were fortunate enough to go to a lot of playoff games. We saw him. They roasted, OKC when they had Paul George there. With Drew Holiday and just with the moves they're trying to make here, do you think that this is at least a good starting point for Giannis to stay in Milwaukee? I know he had loyalty in this issue, but I mean, let's be real. Giannis has the power that LeBron had in Cleveland. When he says he wants something, you go get it at that point.
I think it's exactly that. I think the Bucks org knows that they're like, hey, Giannis isn't going to stay here if we're not going to win or if we're not going to be a top playoff contending team continuously. So they're like, okay, we gotta do something. And I think again, like John said, I don't think it's enough at this point, but I think it's heading in the right direction. I think you got a lot of guys. Drew Holiday, again, I think is a good pickup. I think it adds a lot of defense. You got Bobby Portis. You paid a little much for him, but
a little
expensive. But I think I like the pickup. If you'd get him for half that money, I think you could have. But
I think there's got to be a clause in there for broken jaws of his own teammates.
I was gonna say Bryn Forbes is gonna be on that roster because he's gonna lose his job at that point. So.
Yeah.
but I like that they're trying to make a lot of moves and trying to make this team the kind of like what we were saying, like the new Spurs of just defensive team of shutting the other teams down. And the opposite of a Golden State or a Lakers team that is just going to score crazy amounts of points. When you face the Bucks, I think their goal at this point is to have neither team score above 100 points, and then the Bucks will win. Because the Bucks will score like 98 points, and then they'll hold the other team to like 90 and just win every game. But I think that's kind of the right strategy, is letting Giannis get a third of your points every game and just limiting the other team. I think it works. And I think I hope as we move forward, they're going to continue to make moves like this, and hopefully not sign people like Bobby Portis as much for this much money. But otherwise, I think it's a good starting point, and I want to see them go up from here.
Yeah, there's a lot of movement that's still doable. I personally think I think Chris Middleton should be on the block if you're going to be able to make a big move at this point. Like, as much as we love the hometown kid of Chris Middleton, hey man, the guy's got to get some braces or something. You got to fix those teeth. I'm just promoting hate here, but Chris Middleton, we loved you, but we need someone that can be, I think personally, a better fit. I think it actually is a good fit with Giannis, but I think we need an upgrade from that point to really elevate even Giannis's game, because, and we even saw like Giannis in the playoffs was, I'm not trying to bash Giannis completely, but I think there's still a lot to work on. When his game became very predictable, the threes are still not there yet. I think it might just take another year, to be honest, to be Giannis, but the signing with Bryn Forbes, Torrey Craig, Bobby Portis, DJ Augustine was a mistake in my opinion, but I think the biggest issue, I think we had a lot of hope for this team when we heard the news of the sign and trade from the Kings with Bogdan Bogdanovic, our boy Bogey, Kevin, all right? This is the 2K days Bogey, all right? We thought this was going to be a big move here because that would be a solid starting lineup right there. Drew, Bogdan, Chris Middleton, Giannis, Brook Lopez. Like that's decent, especially for being in the East. Like that can be very scary. It reminds me of basically Toronto Raptors at that point. Obviously, I'm pretty sure Bogey was looking on Bleacher Report and he was like, wait, I'm getting traded here? I don't want to go here. That's not happening. We're not doing this. I'm not going to Milwaukee. The problem is if you work in California, you want to stay in California at that point. You just don't want to be a king. That's kind of the role at this point. So obviously the trade fell apart. Both sides were like, I don't know what to do at this point. A big issue for me with the Bucks is that you tried to trade away 3 players, and now they're coming back to you with DiVincenzo, who was a solid role player in the playoffs. It'll be interesting to see what the chemistry is at the point, because you're trying to just dump his ass to the sad parts of Sacramento. In terms of, longevity, Matt, is Giannis's home going to be Milwaukee, or is it time for him to look for a new place? Does he sign the max, or are we saying, I'll see you in 2021?
For Giannis's sake, I hope he leaves.
Whoa!
I hope he leaves. He doesn't deserve to be on a losing team. He deserves to be on a title contending team, and the Bucks have not. The Bucks haven't really helped him out with that. Let's be honest. Let's be Giannis if we're on Sam's side over here. No, I mean I would much rather have Giannis on a better team on the East, or like, I know we were talking before the show, but put Giannis on like the Mavericks. That'd be awesome. That'd be so much fun. I would love that. Like put him next to Luka, please. Who's gonna stop that? Come on.
Yeah.
And John's over here with this smirk, just like, yes, please. Let's talk more about this. Let's make it into existence.
Look, I just gotta say, if Giannis leaves Milwaukee, the NBA is gonna lose. The NBA will lose out. They just lost the entire market there, lost the entire fan base, to be honest.
That's fine. Whatever. I guess.
Hey man, look, I come from the small town. I'm the hometown kid of San Antonio. We got very fortunate that we had the superstar talent. We got the rings. But, when your team's not winning back to back to back to back and it's just not being relevant, it's going to be tough. I think we saw Giannis as being like kind of homegrown in Milwaukee. And it's just really tough to attract people to Milwaukee, Like, I don't think anyone would be like, yo, I'm from Milwaukee. What's up? What's good over here? Brewtown, cheese, nothing more you can do there,
But I feel like that's on Milwaukee's side. If they cannot give reasons for Giannis to stay in Milwaukee, like, putting all the city stuff, whatever, the cheese and all that shit, let's push that aside. If you can't make Milwaukee a better team for a superstar, an all-star, and somebody who has won MVP back-to-back, if you cannot make him want to stay, that's all on you. That is all your fault. Like the fact that you can't make that you don't aren't doing everything in your power to make Giannis want to stay in your team. That's on you. That is all on you.
Here's what I'll say. I think they are doing everything that they can right now. I think they really that Drew trade was pretty ridiculous how much they gave up. They showed they wanted to stay. I do hope that I hope they're good enough that he's willing to stay this year and sign that Supermax, only because it is tough for those small market teams to compete without basically. I mean, Giannis was was the 15th pick, I think, when he was drafted. They really lucked into him. They really put a lot of work and investment into him. I hope it works out for them. On the flip side of that, I think that if you put Luka and Giannis together, you have basically this generation's answer to Jordan and Pippen. You have
oh damn! Talk about clickbait. Oh my god!
I think that I think you have a team that is going to win multiple rings if you put any kind of competent players around them. We saw it happen in LA with a similar kind of relationship between LeBron and AD. Make that a younger core with Luka and Giannis, and you have something that's going to last for a very long time.
You know what's
and
funny
fuck KP
about that?
If you got to get rid of KP.
Yeah, that's fine. But you know what's funny about that is we look at Dallas itself, and it's just in the NFL, Dallas, the Cowboys are America's team or something like that. But the Dallas Mavericks are the farthest thing away from America's team. They are the Euro team. So it's just if the Dallas Mavericks are on this entire title extension, this just winning championship after championship and whatever, it's just this isn't even America's team winning in America. It's just a European team winning in America.
But at the end of the day, I really hope that I do really hope that Giannis could stay in Milwaukee, because it would be really sad for that whole fan base.
It would
be really sad, but it would also be, if he leaves, I hope he goes to the right place.
Quick fun fact. Speaking of signing people, I don't know if you guys saw this, but 2 hours ago, Jason Tatum agreed to a 5-year deal of $195 million with the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be fun.
Don't worry. We'll get to your Celtics. Don't worry. We're getting there.
I'm itching for it. I'm itching.
Speaking of not America's team, the Atlanta Hawks, all right? And specifically, somehow they're attracting so much talent over this offseason because they're, for some reason, in a win-now situation, because they need to make sure Trae Young doesn't leave, even though he's a restricted free agent. But it's basically, the GMs coaching, their heads on the cutting block at this point, and they had to make the big moves. And I think they did a great job. I think Danilo Gallinari was a great steal for the price you paid. That's nothing. Yeah. I think he deserved way more money. I just don't think anyone was going to pay it yet. I'm curious who he was talking to take such a discount. Along with that, there's the rumor of Bogdan Bogdanović. He did sign the offer sheet with the Hawks.
It's on the roster sheet and ESPN.
Exactly.
So it's true.
It's true at this point. Along with that, they did sign your guys, your boy Chris Dunn. Not a crazy fan, but for a guard that can play defense, that's what they needed. Right? Trae Young's not going to play defense. He's going to drop 40 on you every night.
And they're going to drop 40 on him every night.
Exactly. That's why the Hawks don't win. They picked up Rondo with the vet. I think that was a weird move. I don't know how it's going to be. I feel it's going to be kind of toxic in my opinion, in terms of Trae Young wanting to be very serious, but the way he still plays is still very kiddish in my opinion. Look, when you're doing between the legs of Trevor Ariza, you're gonna start some fights, right? You're gonna start some fights.
Dude, I want Trae Young to show up Rajon Rondo all day long. I think that'd be the funniest thing in the entire world.
Hey man, I also want Trae Young to have decent hair, but we may not get it. But
you think Rajon Rondo is going to show up Trae Young? Is that what you're saying?
Hey, look, Rondo was
clickbait right there. Sam thinks Rajon Rondo's better than Trae Young.
Along those lines, Clint Capella healthy would be very interesting. Kevin, you know how much I fanboy about Clint Capella. Hasn't been healthy in a long time, but I think this is the time. He's in the East once again. There's nothing good about the East except for like 3 teams, either Miami, Boston, or Philly at this point. Along those lines, John Collins still there. Hope he doesn't take any more drugs. I'm just hoping. Hopefully he doesn't get caught. At that point, just don't get caught.
Yeah.
Are these even really drugs?
But they do still have the young bloods of DeAndre Hunter, who I think is really good. I think it's just a bad system. Maybe it'll get better now. Kevin Huerter and Cam Reddish, who's pretty lackluster in my opinion. Do we think that the Atlanta Hawks are a serious playoff contender, John?
So yes, I do. Because they're in the East. Like I really do think they are. I think that they've put exactly the kind of people around Trae Young that they need to. And I think they've really shored up, I think they really shored up like their big rotation. And I think like they got a good mix of defense and scoring now. That's going to be like, before it was Trae Young was the only one who could score, and then no one else could do anything. And then also no one could play defense. And now it's like this team is a legitimate offensive threat. Pretty much through their entire starting 5, and you'll get good defense from all these guys. I think they're, especially with like Orlando losing like Jonathan Isaac for the whole year, and like their whole situation is just like always very strange. I think that this Atlanta team is at least better than Orlando. I think they have at least enough to like sneak into the playoffs. Granted, you never know because Trae Young is really, really, truly so terrible defensively. Cannot stress it enough. He's so useless there. But offensively, he's a genius. He's a genius offensively. And so I think they're a playoff team. I just don't think I don't think they're much more than that. But I think that getting to the playoffs is enough for Trae, at least this year. They're not, but that's I think they're like solid. And I love the Gallo edition. Rondo's going to hopefully teach Trae how to do some useful things. But yeah, I do like this offseason for Atlanta. I think that they're only going to get better from here.
I hear you, Lucas Stan. I hear you.
I know. Yeah, I got to at least get my digs in because like there are folks who are really wiling out online, trying to pretend that this is still a competition. It is not a competition.
No, not at all.
They're in different stratosphere. Luka was first team All NBA in the second year of his fucking NBA career. He's an MVP candidate. He's the MVP favorite going into the season. This man is for real. Trae is he's good. He's good.
As long as he's good, that's all that matters, right?
Trae's good.
He made a few shots from the half-point line. That's solid.
No, but they are good. Trae's really good. He just is defensively useless. I think the Hawks are a 7 or 8 seed, maybe even better because the East really is like once you get out of like the top teams, it really is kind of goofy.
Exactly. No, I agree. But guys, let's just talk about real winners here. Let's talk about our champions, the Los Angeles Lakers. Kevin. The best part is they signed your boy too. All right, talk about it.
I am so happy. They just snake Montrezl Harrell from the Clippers, from this trash, stitched together Clippers team. They're like, yo, Trez, you don't want to be on this garbage ass team with Paul George? Nah, come work for us. Paul George, actual champions. We got you. And Trez is immediately like, yeah, sure, definitely. I want to win a championship.
Absolutely.
I ain't gonna win a championship on the Clippers in 30 years. So I'm gonna come on to the Lakers and actually win some games. Oh my God, I love it. I love everything they've been doing. I think adding Wesley Matthews actually adds a lot. I think he's an underrated bench player. I think him coming off the bench adds depth for them a lot. Dennis Schrader also.
Yes, absolutely.
They needed someone like him, that passer besides LeBron a little bit. And again, off the bench, I think too, him and Caruso are going to just be throwing the ball around constantly. And I love to see it. But again, I think the biggest addition is Montrezl Harrell. I think having that other big man that can play just a 6-man role for them is going to be an insanely awesome addition. I think he adds a lot of offense to that 6-man spot. Maybe not that much defense, but do you really need defense on the Lakers? No, you don't.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, but I'd actually argue because when all of these moves were happening on the Lakers, I definitely agree that Montrezl Harrell is a hell of a pickup for the Lakers. But I was just like, okay, so they definitely have it this year when Schroeder was actually put onto the team because he is such an underrated player. When he was playing behind Russell Westbrook and OKC, and like in my honest opinion, I really think that the piece that they really needed the most was a guard. And you know what, like Alex Caruso, he's like I really do love him, and I'm gonna be rooting for him and for him to only do well. But he wasn't really the piece that they needed. But as soon as I heard that Schroeder was on the Lakers, I was like, oh great, lovely, they won again, awesome, because they really needed that special guard on that team, and I think Schroeder's gonna step up this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Lakers team is what they're doing what the Philly tried to do last year was just be team big.
Would do better.
Yeah,
doing much better.
And the actual pieces that can play together, and I think that's what we're getting here. I think it's really good for Montrezl Harrell because he doesn't have to be the sole 6'9" center. He can't play. And so first off, he can't play like that. You can't play college ball center at 6'9". You can't do that at that point.
Jokic was dusting him that whole series.
Yeah, he was.
And to be honest, even if the Clippers and Lakers would have met, and this is just me being just because we saw the Lakers play just very well, Anthony Davis would have been a different beast. He would have made sure Montrezl Harrell wouldn't even play the fourth quarter because he'd be terrified at that point.
I mean, if Bam Adebayo couldn't do it, then
Yeah, Anthony Davis was awakened finally, and I think this is what we've been waiting. He was punished for so long in New Orleans. He signed these contracts that were ridiculous. The DeMarcus Cousins thing I thought was actually a solid pick. You know, it's a shame that he got injured. I think that team could have done at least some damage. Obviously not, having LeBron as your tag team duo at that point. And I think it hurts all, especially the Celtics fan here, hearing that Marcus Gasol could be a Laker. Think about how dangerous that team can be now, just in terms of intelligence. He's just an old Jokic, in my opinion, just in terms of that IQ playmaking ability. John, what are we feeling here?
Look, I mean, the Lakers nailed it, and they're probably going to get Marc Gasol. I saw it. He's narrowed it down to L.A. or Toronto. If he's looking to get another ring, he's going to go to L.A. And I think that, having LeBron James on your team is a great way to build a great team, and he just draws guys who want to win. Trez was shocking on a mid-level exception.
That's nuts.
The guy lost so much money in that playoff series by just being garbage for 2 series. And he's going to be great with the Lakers because all he's going to have to do is what he was absolutely the best at as a Clipper. He's going to be one of the best, pick and roll bigs in the league. He's going to be unstoppable in those situations playing with LeBron James. I think that's going to be an absolutely filthy combination. And if he does it with Schroeder too, Schroeder's kind of a similar guy to Lou Williams. I think they'll have similar success doing that off the bench. It's nasty. He can't defend anyone worth a damn, but the guy is going to really shine on the Lakers because he's not going to have to do. He's not going to be relied on to be to be any kind of defensive presence like the Clippers needed him to be in the playoffs, which is why, we got the signing of Serge to the Clippers as well. And I think that in this case, it worked out really well for both teams is how I feel about it. I don't know, for me personally, I don't know that anyone really wins that. I think that basically Montrez is going to be much better on the Lakers than he could have been on the Clippers this next season. And I think Serge is exactly what the Clippers needed, which is a legitimate defensive stalwart who can actually space the floor on the other end. Granted, I don't think it's nearly enough but to make them a contender against this Lakers team right now. But I think that I think those were both really good signings for those LA teams, and I feel bad that I think Montrez it was 2 years with a player option on the second year. I think he's going to just like show up and he's going to ball out and then he's going to go get his bag next season.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
That's gonna happen. And don't worry, Matt. We're getting to your favorite team here. All right. All right. Kevin has fun with his Lakers. He's gonna run it back with the title. But maybe you can contest it here. All right. Your Celtics. My opinion, a little disappointing in the draft, just in terms of the moves that we were looking for. They did draft some good talent overall. I think the big thing that I was looking forward to, that they had Tyrell Terry that could do some serious damage for them, but they obviously did not do that. But as you mentioned, your boy, Jason Tatum, got the huge max, 195 over 5. What are you feeling here in terms of your cap? Because you're paying you're paying Kemba Walker, you're paying Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. You did just lock in, Tristan Thompson, who was a steal, 2-year 19. Yeah. That's great. I love that. Yeah. It looks like, from my opinion, I don't think you have to make any more moves just because you got a big that can play, you can get offensive rebounds at this point. What are you looking forward to with this Celtics team?
So obviously, after talking, and Kevin, I gotta mention this one player on your Lakers team. We didn't even talk about him, but with the salary of $290,000 respectively, we can't forget about J.R. Smith, the real knight in shining armor of that team. We can't just we can't walk over that. All right, we got to mention him. But no, I mean, you know what? I was expecting worse because I'm just used to that, being a Chicago sports fan. I'm always expecting worse to happen for my team. But I'm really happy when they picked up Tristan Thompson. Jason Tatum, he deserves that money. Whatever you want to say about that salary cap, he has earned that much money. He is going to be incredible for the Celtics. I think he's definitely like the new face of that league, or for that team, for quite a while. I'm really happy with how he performed last year. He was absolutely killing it. I think last year before the season started, I was saying how Tatum really needs to step up and bring back what he showed in that playoff run they had without Kyrie Irving. And he did, and he overstepped that too. Like he did that and then some. I love Jaylen Brown. He's an incredible player. They still have Marcus Smart. They still have Kemba. I don't really know how good Kemba's going to last, or how long Kemba's going to last. I do really like him. I think he greatly benefited the Celtics as far as locker room presence, and just as far as being a really great player and a not toxic player like Kyrie Irving. So beneficial, but they're not going to win a title this year, especially. I don't even know what next year's going to. I can't even say definitively that they're going to win a title next year. I don't know. But if Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown continue to do even better and better and better, they're going to be terrifying in the East. They're going to turn from I could see them being a third, second seed to they're definitely going to be first seed in the East. I'm really excited to see them play this year. Tristan Thompson is a fantastic pickup for them, especially with that rebounding, because the Celtics have not had a good rebounder in so long. John, what was that stat that you said?
I believe that the Celtics have not had someone average 10 rebounds a game since, I think, 2006, which means even with Kevin Garnett on that team.
Yeah, it's not a great look. It's not a great look. So yeah, I'm super pumped. I think they did a very good. I think they had a good off season. I wouldn't say very good. I would say they had a good off season, but clearly not as good as the Lakers. I tip my cap to you, Lakers fans, as much as I hate it.
No, that's fair. And look, I told you that Jason Tatum is that. This guy's going to be a future MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully Luka doesn't take the shadow. But I'm
we
just
cannot
saying,
definitively say that Jason Tatum will beat Luka.
Hey man, look, I'm just saying if Luka keeps playing in the West, it's tough to get that recognition sometimes. They're going to get better. But I'm just saying, Jason Tatum's got a little bit of an easier ride in the East at that point to get
That's
that
fair.
facial recognition. Personally,
Mhm.
I got two things. Trade Jaylen Brown at his peak right now. He's rising like crazy. Get something that's
Interesting.
it seems really weird because it's both a quote unquote rebuild with really good talent plus I don't think a vet could really help because I mean we're seeing with Kemba Walker and I don't think it was really as much as they needed a point guard, it was the wrong type of point guard. Honestly, you should have brought back Rondo. Let's get Rondo back in the point.
No.
Let's
No.
make it happen. Come on, let's make it happen. Think about
No.
it. If the Hawks get
Absolutely not.
Bogdanovich, get Kemba over to Atlanta. You can throw in Gallo's contract if you want, and get Gallinari. Like that's perfect. That's a perfect fit. That's what you kind of need. You need someone that can space it out. You don't need a slasher with Jaylen Brown.
Rondo. I don't want Rondo.
Dang. Hey man, the guy won you a title. All right, I showed the man some love. But other
That's
hot
fine.
take is if the Celtics don't get in the next 2-3 years, they don't get to just get to the finals. I think Brad Stevens has to go at that point. Like clearly, Brad Stevens. I think he's a great coach. It's just it's not working for him. I just don't know what it is. And a big thing for me in terms of coaching is, especially done for the NBA, you gotta start blaming your players. Look, they're getting paid way more than you. You need to start blaming these guys for where they're messing up. That's why I like Doc Rivers a lot because he's not afraid to tell players like you really fucked it up. Like you not saying you cost us the game, but your lack of presence made sure that we lost this game. So I think Brad Stevens just coming from college, he was able to take some of that blame. I just want him to just start yelling at these players and be like, "What the fuck are you guys doing? Why are we not winning the title? Like, how are we not winning? We're really good at this point."
I think he'll get to there. I think if he doesn't show some backbone this year, then sure, I'd be a little bit upset. But no, I agree. I get what you're saying.
I think like one problem with I actually am interested in the idea of trading Jaylen Brown only because I think that they're in a weird situation where like Jason Tatum is a legitimate like superstar level kind of guy. He's like definitely showed that in the second half of the season, and he's gonna just get better from there. I don't think that Jaylen has nearly that kind of ceiling. I think he's like kind of guy who can be like an all-star level dude. Austin Rivers signed 3 years, $10 million for the Knicks. I think that he like reduces their ceiling a bit. I think that they've been looking for a guy to be like their third star, assuming Jaylen would be their second, and I don't think he's that guy. I think that they need to find like another real superstar for Tatum to play with, and I think they just like haven't been able to find that guy. I think they keep getting. I think Kyrie was probably like the best player Tatum has played with, unfortunately, and like, and I think that's why like there's only so high they can go with this core, especially with like a lot of the moves that are happening in the Eastern Conference right now. I'd be interested to see like what they can do to level up more because they've had teams where like, okay, our bench is really deep, and like they've had teams where like, you know, it would have, you feel like you should have gotten more out of the Gordon Hayward era, like, but they're just like missing something that like will let me take them seriously. Like, and I don't.
I think you take them like seriously, but not in the sense of like championship title contender.
Yeah, they're definitely good. They're definitely like a really good team and like a kind of team that can be like they were in the Eastern Conference Finals this year. They like almost they could have been like a finals team. It's just like there's like something that's like not clicking, and I think it's just that they don't have the team is just kind of a mess. I feel like the way it's constructed, it just isn't like working.
No, that's totally fair.
There's time. They're young.
And they got destroyed. Like one of the first games that they played against Philadelphia, they got absolutely smashed. Well, not absolutely smashed, but they lost a decent amount to Philly when they were playing big. You know, when Philly was playing big and whatnot, and Kemba just wasn't able to do shit. I absolutely agree. It's just one of those rosters where you're looking at it, it's just like, you know what? This is a really great roster, but they're not winning. Mm-hmm. And that's super frustrating for me.
No, for sure. And I think it's not that it's I think going along John's line is not a well-built roster. I think the management, what they did was they just got the best available talent possible.
Yes.
Like I said, when you can't be running it with 4 like solid small forward. It doesn't work like that. It's not college ball at that point. At that point, like someone has to be on the trading block. Obviously, Gordon's gone, so you lost out on that. You can run it with Jaylen Brown, but I just feel like there is something out there. Like you said, I don't know what it is, but I think going along your lines of getting a superstar talent that can coincide with Jason Tatum, because you need someone you need a CP3 realistically, someone that can just facilitate to him and make the ball movement go at that point. I wouldn't pay that money personally, but I think that's the character you would want, which is not Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker doesn't facilitate. He's a pure scorer.
Yeah,
he's a pure scorer.
Absolutely.
Let's do one more team, and then we'll just speed through a couple of them. Let's talk about your Suns, man. All right, crazy addition. Speaking of CP3, a Phoenix Sun now. I feel bad for Ricky Rubio. He just bought a house in Phoenix, and then they just dumped him.
That is super unfortunate.
Back to the Thunder, and then back to Minnesota. Truly heartbreaking at that point. Along with that, they got Jay Crowder, a big signing. I think was kind of skeptical about as Jalen Smith. I know it wasn't a best available, but it was still a big guy that there was very few of in this draft. Obviously, it was just full of guard, which was nuts. Future possible resident of Phoenix, Matthew Murphy. Do you feel that these were the right moves to make these guys a playoff contender?
I believe in our last episode, I was saying how they needed to draft somebody who can facilitate the ball, and they did. And I mean, technically, they have somebody who can facilitate the ball. They have Chris Paul now. I was very surprised to see that they made that move, and with Jay Crowder too, that's fantastic. DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker, Jay Crowder, way to fucking go! I am so excited to see this team play. I've always been a fan of Devin Booker. I've always been wanting to see more out of DeAndre Ayton. I think we saw that last year. Once he came back from that suspension, he definitely was starting to pick it up a lot more. It was Aaron Baines was kind of a meme for a bit, but I'm excited to see this team. I think Chris Paul definitely makes the team better. If they do make it to the playoffs, I think it's 8th, 7th seed. That'll be very interesting to see where they land, but they have definitely, just looking at the roster, they have definitely gotten better. I am pumped to see all of Devin Booker just shooting all over the place and, Chris Paul making them a better team.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. Kevin, you don't seem that crazy about this Phoenix. What's good? What's good, my guy?
I think there's been almost no change in this team. I genuinely think they got a little worse. I think losing Ricky.
What?
I think losing Ricky Rubio is detrimental to them. I think losing Kelly Oubre, detrimental to them. Jay Crowder, great pickup. Chris Paul, get the fuck out of here with that insane ass contract for a 35-year-old dude that's gonna continuously get worse over time.
He was third team All NBA, Kevin.
Kevin, Paul led a terrible OKC team to the playoffs.
Oh, you're telling me there's no one else good on that OKC team?
It was actually a pretty underrated OKC team.
No, that was an underrated team, sure. But when Chris Paul went to OKC, we immediately wrote him off. But he played exceptionally well on OKC. And now you think with him passing the ball to Devin Booker, he's just going to be ass?
I'm not saying he's going to be ass. I'm saying he doesn't add anything to that team that Ricky Rubio didn't already have. He didn't already give.
Can we get a Ricky Rubio stand here? I'm loving this.
Look, I have nothing against Ricky Rubio.
I love watching.
Me biased, 100%. And I've always thought Chris Paul is extremely overrated. Extreme.
I love it. I love this heat. Bring it every fucking podcast.
It was perfect on OKC. He fit really well. And taking him out of that and putting him into this Suns team I don't think it's going to be a good fit. I really don't. I think Jay Crowder, great fit. Perfect fit. I think that's a great addition. I think that'll help out a lot. But I think losing Oubre and losing Rubio is going to do worse than it's going to do good.
I can't wait for you to see how wrong you are, Kevin.
Yo, can you put this on
me
Instagram
too.
later?
I can't wait.
I want this little spot right here.
I can't, Kevin. I love Ricky Rubio. I tweeted from our account earlier. I think the NBA needs more old European basketball wizards in the league. I love Ricky, but he is not even in like the same class of point guard as Chris Paul. They're not the same guy. First, Chris Paul is one of the most efficient shooters in the league.
Yeah, he was 6 years ago. He's years ago, maybe, but he still one of the best mid-range shooters ever. He's still a very from the top of the 3-point key, still one of the most efficient shooters from there. Kevin, I'm gonna fucking kill you. I think like
we don't promote murder on this podcast.
We don't promote murder, but we do it, and I think that Kevin, I understand being like underwhelmed. It is the Suns. It's the Suns. I get it. But like Chris Paul is a legitimately very good player still. He is old. The contract is bad, but he makes that team better. And they're only going to get better play out of DeAndre Ayton next year. They're going to get better play out of Mikal Bridges. I think that this Suns team is a legitimate playoff team. And I actually think that they're more of like a 7 or 6 seed than they are an 8. I think that I think that they're really going to be quite good, and I think they're going to play really well together. Because what Ricky gave them was a strong playmaking presence, and that's what Devin Booker's always needed. He's not a point guard. He's best when he can play off ball, and Chris Paul is going to give them that plus more reliable scoring, more efficient scoring, and he's frankly he's just one of the smartest basketball players of this generation. So I think and I get it, though. He is old. The contract is bad. But I like it. And I think that you're a slanderous, libelous fiend, Kevin. And
I will be very quick to eat my words if Chris Paul plays as well as he did last year. I just don't think it's going to happen on this team.
He's got that new vegan diet.
That's it.
He's gonna make every single player on that team go vegan. Like, let's go.
Kevin, I am loving this energy from you, right? This is pure hate. It reminds me of last year of Paul George hate. I love this slander. All right, you keep it up. All right.
What happened with Paul George? Oh yeah, he shit the bed just
that did end up going your way.
That's fair. That's totally. And I hate my words. I hate my words.
All right, Kevin's Houdini. All right, I'm on his team right now, just in terms of that. But I can see. Here's my argument for the Suns. They're in a bad conference. It's too good. I think they can be. Look, Chris Paul carried that OKC Thunder team to a playoff spot. Which, in our opinion, when we said that this team was probably going to be the worst team in the NBA, obviously they proved us wrong. Chris Paul was reborn. I think the best part is, going along the lines of what John said, was that Devin Booker can actually play his role. He's a shooting guard. He shoots. That's what he does. He scores. That's what he does. He doesn't facilitate. He's not a playmaker. He's just, give me the ball and I'll shoot it. And that's how we're going to play it. That guy's probably going to drop like 30 points a game still. Another thing with that is I think Chris Paul can actually utilize DeAndre Ayton appropriately. What we're going to do is bring back Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire, and back in the Suns. That's what we're doing here. We're doing pick and roll, slam jam, Amari Stoudemire. That's what we're doing here. DeAndre Ayton at this point, because he was not used correctly. And even when Ricky Rubio wanted to use the pick and roll, Ricky Rubio is just really slow or just doesn't know how to effectively do it because he doesn't have a Kevin Love. Let's be honest. The last time he was good was Kevin Love. All right. I guess the Jazz was fun, but Kevin Love was the reason that
he had like a good run with Kevin Love, and then he tore his ACL that like one season when he was like really making it work.
Hey man, that's when we saw James Harden reborn. He broke his ankles, and we never saw Ricky again at that point. But this team can do some serious damage. I was very surprised with the Jalen Smith pick. I didn't think that was.
It was weird.
It was weird. I think that what they needed was just another scorer, in my opinion. Devin Vassell.
I think it's because they know they're going to lose Aaron Baines. I think they wanted someone to fill that spot. But it's still it was still a little weird.
For sure. The Suns kind of did some damage even last year. Cam Johnson, I think it was actually a very solid pick.
Yeah.
And they took all those assets they drafted and just traded him for a, all-star, superstar talent, Chris Paul. Obviously, he's not Clippers or even New Orleans Chris Paul, but I mean, we saw the damage that he could have done. But just for Kevin's sake, I'm on his team because I love the fire that he brings. With this hate culture, all right? Not hate culture, but you know what I'm feeling. You know what I'm feeling. But all right. We talked about the Suns. Suns, I think 8 seed. That's gonna be my prediction. 8 seeds.
Okay. That's fair.
But let's run through these real quick. Gordon Hayward did get his money. I didn't think he was gonna get his money at all, but Charlotte fucked it up. 120 mil for 4 years. And I think he has a player option the last year, so he can just opt in real quick, get 40 mil and call it a day at that point. Very confusing. John, you're telling us some stats about their salary cap with Charlotte?
Basically, they couldn't – everyone thought this was going to have to be a sign and trade because Charlotte didn't have the cap space to sign him at the 4 years, $120 million contract because of their massive Nick Batum contract, which they decided to then waive Nick Batum and use the stretch provision, so they'll be paying him for years, which means that essentially Gordon Hayward was $30 million a year, but because of having to waive Nick Batum to bring him in, it's basically they're paying $39 million a year for Gordon Hayward, who has played 3 good weeks of basketball since he was a Celtic. I think it's such a Michael Jordan move. And it's
you lost a bet, let's be honest.
It's bad. It's bad. It's just really bad. And I hope that he's better. I think that I don't know. I don't even think he's I don't even think it makes sense to give him more money than LaMelo Ball will be making on a rookie contract. It feels silly to pay him that much money to be maybe an 8 seed in the East. I don't know why they did it.
Yeah.
Terrible contract. He was an all-star one time. I can't think of anyone who's made more money off of being a one-time all-star than Gordon Hayward.
All right, if we had to line these up as far as worst contracts, we have Chris Paul, we have Gordon Hayward, we have John Wall. John Wall is the worst. Are we all agreeing with that?
Yes.
John Wall's pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. They signed him when he was injured, but you don't do that.
I want the best from Gordon Hayward, and I'll always hope for the best for him. But what a stupid thing! What a dumb thing to do.
Hey, I respect the hustle on that agent though. He's like, my guy wants 120. I'll be walking. And he's like, okay, done, easy.
Yeah.
Very good agent. Yeah. That man needs a raise.
Very nice commission very soon.
Let's be honest. If Hayward gets injured again, he's basically going to Charlotte to play, to play video games for a living. Let's be honest here.
Hey, man, he's doing the Kevin Love contract at this point.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of the future builds, I think we have to give props to OKC and New Orleans. Just did some real hustling, just getting these draft picks nonstop. Even New Orleans getting Steven Adams, crazy good deal. I think that's a perfect piece because they didn't really have a centerpiece, right? They got the guard, they got the Lonzo, they got Eric Bledsoe. We all love him. Brandon Ingram coming off from a phenomenal year. Most improved player. Zion, of course, hoping he's on that Peloton right now. And, they had Derek Favors, who was pretty inconsistent in terms of he was just filler. He was filler at that point. They had my boy Melly, who I actually really think is really good in terms of what he can do. Maybe it's the wrong team. Hey, Spurs, let's get him over here. But Steven Adams, I think he can actually be an interesting combo with Lonzo Ball running that pick and roll. And then, as Lonzo drives, dish it out to Brandon Ingram, pump fake, drive into the lane, alley-oop, Zion. I just wrote a whole play right there, boys. I wrote a whole play with a 4-man roster at this point. I have great optimism for New Orleans. OKC, I'm not skeptical. I'm just curious what they're going to do because I don't know what they have anymore. Andre Robertson, that's probably the best thing they got.
They're going to be bad. I mean, they have Shea.
They got Shea.
Yeah, they have Shea.
They're going to be a bad team, which is exactly what they want. And then they're going to draft probably very high in this next draft and any draft they really want to. I do want to really quickly, JaVale McGee just got traded from the Lakers to the Cavs. They sent a 2nd-round pick with him, which means I have a feeling we will soon find out that they are signing Marc Gasol.
Oh
yeah,
Kevin, I see you. I see you, Kevin.
That's scary. Oh, God damn it.
Just give the championship to the Lakers now. Just don't even. We don't need.
That's already
2
been
rings at
decided.
the ceremony. At this point. But right before we end this, though, we might as well do our early odds. I'm just going to run it through each of one of you guys. Who's going to be your finals matchup right when we get into the finals? Kevin, we'll start with you. You got the face right here. What are we getting here?
Lakers. I don't care who they face. Lakers got
okay.
4.
Flexing on them. Okay, I see you.
Jesus Christ.
You said Lakers in 4.
Lakers in 4. Sweep 8. Last team to sweep was my Spurs against LeBron, all right, 2007. You never know. LeBron's on revenge game 1 at this point. So you don't even care who's in the East, all right? Who would be your East player, though? Who would be your East team?
Who's even in the East? I don't even...
Doesn't even know. Kevin only knows what the Western part of that's what he knows. All right. I think that's pretty easy. Matt, what are you feeling here?
Lakers are going to win, but they're going to play against I'd be very interested to see. God damn it! This sucks. This really sucks.
You just know the Lakers.
I feel like I have to say that I want to say the Heat. It really depends on how much stronger Bam gets. I do like the Celtics' new roster, but they really have to figure that out to see how it works. So it's for me. I'm going to go with the safe pick of saying the Bucks because Giannis can do whatever he wants. But I don't know if he's going to get traded. That's the hardest thing to figure out.
No, he definitely won't be traded.
Okay, I'm just gonna say the fucking Celtics just for the Heat. I'm gonna say the Celtics Lakers finals, and then the Celtics are gonna get blown out of the fucking sky.
Okay. John, you had some interesting faces when you mentioned the Heat. You're not feeling the Heat, or what are we feeling?
I'm not feeling the Heat. It will be the Brooklyn Nets.
Thank you.
And then
yeah.
the Dallas Mavericks.
Okay, let's stop. Let's end it right.
It'll be Brooklyn. It'll be Brooklyn versus the Lakers. Hopefully, we'll get a really cool KD versus LeBron series. But the Nets have absolutely no one who can stop Anthony Davis. The Lakers are going to win. But I really think...
I'm going to feel so bad for Jared Allen going up against
It's going to be gross. Yeah. It's going to be... It'll be like when he plays Joel Embiid. It's disgusting. Like,
it's not great, man.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I'm picking Nets, Lakers. Lakers are going to win, and it all is going to fall down on whether or not Kyrie and Kevin Durant are going to be healthy all year. But if they are, Nets, Lakers.
Okay, also, if James Harden ends up actually being very great
without James Harden.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
All right, so everyone did a unanimous Lakers sweep. I think I'm going to do the same. I'd also pick Brooklyn. I can't doubt Kevin Durant. I think he's just going to be scary.
Everyone says he's back.
Yeah. And he's going to be back. He's ready to go. This guy, he's brand new. Kevin, don't worry. Jared Allen will be gone before then. Let's just be real. We'll have to suffer the pain of that. And someone can actually appreciate his skill and not start goddamn DeAndre Jordan still for goddamn reason.
Stupid.
Why are we playing DeAndre Jordan still, ladies and gentlemen? This is not the NBA. It's not the old NBA, all right? Lob City's dead.
Best friends with Kyrie. Come on.
Dunks aren't cool anymore, all right? Corner threes are cool, all right? No, deep threes and then deep range threes. That's cool. That's what's cool. That's what the kids love nowadays. I'm curious now. We all did say Lakers. What is the deciding factor to say that it's easy going to be the Lakers? What's the deciding factor? What are we calling it?
I think that I don't think that anyone can safely predict LeBron is going to get worse because he just keeps defying those odds. AD is only going to get better. And I think that they have a better roster this year than they did last year. I just think it's like, I think especially when they signed Marc Gasol, I think that it's just like kind of a lock. Granted, like you never know, injuries happen, teams show up out of nowhere and get like really, really good very quickly. Mm-hmm. But that's, these early predictions, I can't see a team that's in a better spot than the Lakers. I just can't Yeah,
that's true. I think for me, like obviously LeBron fanboy here, but we can't doubt LeBron. But I think just even better is just his tag team duo with Anthony Davis, pending everything being healthy. Yeah. That guy was terrifying in the bubble. Like it was disgusting. Like the performance, the way they mutilated this Houston Rockets team, like it was
wonderful.
Yeah, it was a homicide at that point.
Yeah.
He
did to Houston what I'm gonna do to Kevin. Like it was fun.
Hey, Karen, do you have James Harden and Russell Westbrook with you, or? Okay. All right. Good luck. Good luck there. But with that, Matt, end this episode without any mutilations.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard to do. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. You guys can see us on YouTube and at anywhere that you listen to your podcast at the Deep Three Pod. You could also email us any questions that you might have, and we will answer them because we get absolutely no traffic on our email. So send us your questions at the deep3pod@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for listening to the show. I cannot guarantee that Kevin will be here on the next episode because John might make the drive from California to Chicago. Who knows with his rage. Thank you guys so much for listening to the show. Have a great rest of your night.
Don't commit murder.